Hi, Dietitian Mel here from Active Health Clinic, and today I'm going to show you this diagram that I've made to talk about something that I've been talking about a lot in sessions lately. And I get a lot of patients say to me, Mel, why do I eat any amount of food and not necessarily feel full, satiated, satisfied? I'm always looking for something else. I'm looking for something maybe sweet afterwards, maybe just some more food in general, or I'm hungry pretty quickly after eating that meal. Now, I always come back to this, and this is talking about how to build a sustainable plate of food. So I like to talk about this in regardless of the portion that you need to help feel physically full, to physically fill up your stomach and to be at that comfortable fullness. We want to look less at the size of the food and more at the portions of the different nutrients within that meal. So this is what I'm going to talk about today, and this is what it looks like. So I've basically already drawn out what this is and a spread of different nutrients, but I'm going to talk through it today. So what we like to focus on is a quarter of your plate of food or bowl of food or whatever it looks like is protein, and a good quality source of protein. So if you have animal foods in your diet, would be like chicken, beef, lamb, fish, pork, I don't think I've missed one, eggs. If you're more of a plant-based diet, it might be tofu, soy products, fake meat products that have a good amount of protein in them, or it could be lentils, legumes, chickpeas, like beans, things like that. So good source of protein is something that per amount of energy that's in there, it has a good quality or a higher amount of protein in there than other foods that have smaller amounts of protein that are great for spreading nutrients across our day. Next is our low GI carbohydrates. So a quarter of your plate is filled up with low GI or low glycemic index carbohydrates. And a very quick explanation of glycemic index, if you're not already aware, is basically talking about how carbohydrates are broken down into glucose and then absorbed into the body and used. So high GI carbohydrates are more simple molecules that are really easily broken down and then absorbed into the bloodstream to be used as energy. So we get a big peak and a big drop. Whereas our low GI carbohydrates are more sustainable. So they are more complex molecules is the way that I like to explain it. So they take longer to break down, longer to digest, longer to absorb into the bloodstream, and it just kind of trickles out in terms of energy, and we get a nice peak and then a steady drop. And that's what we want if we want to feel essentially fuller for longer. So focusing on some low GI carbohydrate sources here. So for example, basmati rice or whole grain toast or quinoa, whole grains, other things like that. Now, our half section here is our fiber and micros. So our fiber-rich foods and our foods that are rich in micronutrients, all the little things that we need to help all of the different processes in our body. Now, I like to also think of this as eat the rainbow. So get as much variety as you can, because that variety, color, taste, flavor, basically equals more micronutrients and a different spread of different things. So anything in here could be our fruit, vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds. So having a different spread of them across the day. It's not like you need to tick all of those boxes in here. It could just be solely vegetables. It could be vegetables and legumes. It could be vegetables, legumes, and some nuts and seeds, and maybe even some fruit. I'm picturing a really nice vibrant salad, or it could just be a bunch of beautiful roasted veggies or anything. The variety is endless. And then lastly, this little circle in the middle here is our serve of fats. And specifically our unsaturated fat is what we want to focus on. So we want majority of our fat intake to be unsaturated. And it's not that saturated fat is awful and bad and we should never touch it. We want it in smaller amounts in our diet. And I say that it's not awful and bad because although we might call it bad fat, and I put quotation marks because I'm very neutral with my language around food, but it's important to think that with a lot of our good quality protein sources, they are animal products. Saturated fat comes in animal products. So we don't want to completely knock them off our list if that's a good quality source of protein for you. We just want to make sure that we're using, in our other sources of fat, we're using mainly unsaturated. So for example, it's using leaner cuts of meat but cooking them in extra virgin olive oil, or having some avocado on the side, or having fatty fish a couple of times a week, or adding some nuts and seeds, not only for your fiber and micronutrients, but for a bit of extra good quality unsaturated fat. So I hope this makes sense. And I hope this makes sense that we don't need to break our plate into these portions. It doesn't need to look like that. It can, it very much can look like this, and that's okay, but it doesn't have to. And it's just a reminder that the portion of food that helps you feel full and satisfied and physically comfortably full, the spread looking like this. And so that could look like everything mixed together in a beautiful mess and a beautiful color mess, for example, something like a pasta salad, but breaking it down into just changing and tweaking the portions of the types of foods that are going in there. So again, I hope that's been helpful. If you have any questions around this, or you feel like you need more guidance around this in your own diet and you're just not quite sure how to tackle this, please reach out. We have a wonderful team of dietitians who are more than ready and willing to help. And yeah, we hope to help you on your journey in helping food feel sustainable and filling and nourishing. Happy